What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me for this very special World Series preview edition is Luis Barranco. Luis, how you doing?
But man, what a week and 3 weeks it's been since we last hopped on, man. How are you doing? How are
Good.
you?
I'm good. I am very excited for, of course, this World Series. It's been years, many years in the making.
15.
Let Yeah, 15 for the Yankees, and in terms of Yankees-Dodgers, like they haven't played since '81, so it's been a long time for that matchup specifically, but been good. Ran the marathon a couple weeks ago now and recovered a bit. Now I had my first lift this morning since the marathon. Feeling feeling weak, feeling a little sore already, but no, I've been good.
You still have your legs on yourself, you know?
Yeah, the
You still
legs
have
were in
legs?
a The legs were in a
Yeah.
tough spot a few days after. Really hard to walk, but all good now. A lot of rolling out, stretching it up, but it's been good.
I would imagine that, man. That's 26.2, right? Man, that's the holy grail of running. That's the Super Bowl of runners, man. A lot of people I talked to actually were hyped up for that Chicago Marathon. How was the course and everything? Or, I've been busy, so I
Yeah,
haven't been able to tune in to CFB lately, but I don't know if you talked about it in CFB with Joe, with our resident, king runner of the Locked In Sports podcast, or doctor of running, Mr.
yeah,
PhD.
Joe is also a runner too. We didn't talk about it a lot. No, the the crowds were great. Up north, especially, down south toward the end where, miles 18 through 26, a little bit quieter, which is, I mean, at that point, I was basically blacked out. Like, I don't really remember most of it. I was just heads down trying to finish the damn thing. So that was fine. Crowds were good. It was a little, a little warm in the sun, but overall weather was good. Um, yeah, the last 6 miles were an absolute grind. Nothing really prepares you for that. Um, but I got it done, and I'm probably looking to do another one here at some point too.
Hey, was it cold? How was the weather? We
I
got to
just
get
said
our resident.
I
Yeah,
said it was warm. You're not even listening to me. I said it was warm
I
in
was
the
listening. I was listening.
sun.
I was listening about the miles, the last miles for a mental grind, and I was thinking about like how it's a mental grind. Like
It
I
is.
bet you like miles 21, 22. How
It
many
is very
juice?
mental, and you're questioning why you did a marathon, why you chose to do a marathon. No one forced you to do a marathon, and it is very much physical and mental. I'd say the mental part is just as hard as the physical part in the last few miles for sure.
You guys are a special type of crazy for running 26.2. I mean, everybody's at least psychotic for doing 26.2. Like I'm psychotic, and I decided to put like 450 pounds in squat. That like nobody needs to do that. Like
You don't need to
you
do that.
know,
It's hard on your back.
it's hard on everything, and it's like watching baseball every single night. Like you don't need to do that, but hey, we do it for the love of the game, and that's why we're here today. We're here to discuss probably the biggest. Like I was having this conversation with my mom. My mom's actually been tuning into the World Series, to like the whole playoffs because TV has gone to straight garbage. Like Netflix is slacking behind, Prime Video been slacking behind. Um, Apple TV, there hasn't been good content in my opinion, and HBO Max. I mean, 98 Fiance. That whole thing's kind of overdone. We don't have The Bachelor on television right now, so TV's just been kind of lacking. So like, my mom was like, I've been tuning into the playoffs, and she was like, oh, this is a pretty big World Series, and I was having the chat with her saying, I think this is the biggest World Series we've had in probably since 2010s when the Red Sox made it, or before that a little bit.
Yeah, like 2018 Red Sox Dodgers had, two huge teams, but it didn't have the hype that this does. It did not have that hype. To the obviously 2009 Philly versus New York, Yankees Phillies was huge. That's one of the bigger ones that I can remember in my lifetime. Obviously, being the Yankees runs in the late 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Um, Yeah, I mean, certainly, coming off of last year, which all due respect, congrats to the Rangers. That series was just the and coming off that, and it's a freaking Yankees-Dodgers. It does not get any better. Like you could I tweeted it out. I don't think there's a better championship matchup in any American sport. Because if you think about it, NFL, like people are gonna watch the Super Bowl regardless. It doesn't matter if it's Browns versus uh Seahawks or something. People are gonna be the ratings are gonna be crazy. The finals,
Jaguar. No, here's one. Here's one. Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars making the postseason against, I don't know, give me the Arizona Cardinals. That
yeah.
would sell so many tickets.
Like I think the best Super Bowl in terms of like historic matchup, huge franchises would probably be Cowboys Steelers. I don't think that gets the juices flowing the way Yankees Dodgers, and I'm obviously biased. NBA like Celtics Lakers is obviously a huge one. That honestly, that's
NBA doesn't fill me. Pause. It doesn't do me justice.
it doesn't
I
get the
could get
juices flowing the way that I mean, just and we'll talk about storylines here, but like the history, like for that is one of my favorite things about this matchup is obviously I'm a huge baseball history nerd. I love reading books about baseball history and articles and everything. I'm reading a book about the history of baseball in New York right now, which is actually perfect timing for this one. And just the star power of the current day players, Otani, Judge, Betts, Soto, Garrett Cole, like it just, and I see people complaining on Twitter about it. I'm like, what do you want? You complained last year with Diamondbacks, Rangers. We get an amazing matchup this year, Yankees, Dodgers, and I hear, oh well, it's the two, highest payrolls in the sport. I'm sorry for having owners that care. Like I'll never fault owners for spending money and doing what they're supposed to do. The Guardians, I saw like their owner actually has a higher net worth than Hal Steinbrenner, and they refuse to
you
spend
know
money.
who's
It's
the owner of the Guardians?
who's that?
Think about it. They actually own another prominent team in the Big Four in like Big Four, like
Oh,
prominent.
isn't it like the Dolan family?
Yeah, it's the Dolan family who own the Knicks. So it's
Yeah.
like they like the whole narrative, like, and I want to get this off my chest because it's like you can win a World Series without, paying money. Like you can. The Royals won one in 2014. I mean,
15.
the 15, the
Yeah.
Mets this year made it all the way, but oh yeah, they have so many money. Yeah, but they still did it with like a patchwork roster. Like go back into the history books. Like you can make it to the end with like limited budgets. The Cleveland Indians in 2016 made it, which I think like looking back at it now, I think that's probably the biggest World Series since this one. 2016
Hmm.
because the Cubs made it and it was all about the Cubs breaking the streak,
Hmm.
and then and then maybe because you said 2009, like I think 2009 it was like a shoo-in that the Yankees were going to win. Not like a shoo-in, but it was like the expectation that after they spent all that money with Teixeira
Yeah.
and CC that winter. So I don't feel like that one. And before then, Boston's 04 run, I think that's the only one that gets there. The 04 run.
Hmm. And we're talking like 2017 Astros Dodgers was a great series, but that didn't transcend baseball. This series, people are talking about it that never watch baseball.
You understand how expensive are tickets for this? They're all starting at $1,000. You actually know. I was actually going to text you on. I didn't want to jinx it. That's why I did not text you this weekend. I waited till like the game ended. I was like, if the Yankees make the World Series, we should actually try to go. We should actually get on a plane and go. But then when I saw tickets were like for $1,000, I'm like, I don't have $1,000 to like spare, like go to a game right now.
Yeah, they're exorbitantly expensive. A little bit cheaper in LA. New York, like standing room tickets are pretty expensive. It's the biggest. I mean, yeah, I think that's a good point with the Cubs in 2016. There was a lot of hype. Obviously, a lot of people talking about that outside of the regular baseball fans. I mean, it's New York, it's LA, it's the former crosstown rivals. These guys have played 12 times in the World Series now. This will be the 12th matchup. The Dodgers obviously were in Brooklyn forever for the majority of the World Series matchups that they had against each other. They played in 41, the Yankees won in 5. They played in 1947, the Yankees won in 7. They played in 1949, the Yankees won in 5. Played in 52, the Yankees won that in 7. 53, the Yankees won in 6. 55, Dodgers finally got over the Yankees. They won that one in 7. 56, the Yankees won in 7. 63, Dodgers won in 4. 77, that was the first one when the Dodgers were in LA. 77, Yankees won in 6. 78, Yankees won in 6. And then 81, the Dodgers won in 6. So many historic moments, too. 55, Jackie Robinson stole home in game 1. Dodgers win that series. 1956, probably the most famous pitched game ever. Don Larson's perfect game in game 5. 63, the Dodgers swept the Yankees, holding the Yankees to 4 runs in 4 games. Koufax won MVP. He pitched a complete game in the opener and the clincher, allowed 3 runs and struck out 23 over 18 innings. 1977, actually, the picture behind me is from that World Series. Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs, all on the first pitch in the same game. That's where he got the nickname Mr. October. That was in game 6, the clinching game for the Yankees. I have 3 photos from each home run where it looks like one swing. If you're watching on the YouTube, you can kind of see that in the background. He hit 450 with 5 home runs in that series. Actually, the only other players to hit 5 home runs in a World Series since then are George Springer and Chase Utley. So there's so many historic moments. Like, these two franchises are kind of just 1-1. Like, I think they're the 2 best, or at least the biggest franchises in this sport. I mean, you just couldn't ask for more. I mean, obviously I'm a huge Yankee fan. I want the Yankees to win, but I am also just going to be kind of enamored, and I'm going to like just absorb this series for what it is, because it is just awesome.
And I just want to point out, I disagree with the point that it's the 2 biggest franchises in baseball. I feel like the Dodgers are more like a new gen team. Like, they're an old gen team, but I kind of feel like, as in franchise, I don't think they even make top 5 as biggest franchises in the sport. I would
Of all
take the
time or
Yankees
currently?
all time. I would take the
All time, I think
Yankees.
they're in that conversation for sure. They've had their history is just so rich, so rich.
Oh yeah, the history, yeah. But I'm just saying right now. I'm just saying all time. I'm taking the Yankees, the Cardinals, the Braves, the Cubs. Those are already 4
You can't
right
take the
there.
Cubs. The Cubs didn't win anything from 1908 to
The
2016.
The Cubs. The Cubs have freaking Cubs Con. Like, what franchise has a San Diego Comic Con and people show up from the races? Like, people, like, there was a guy gonna get killed on a machete in my dorm hall because of the Cubs series. Because, like, this was back in 2016 when I was a freshman in college, and I went to school in Ohio, and I went to school with a bunch of people from Chicago and Cleveland, and it was Game 7, and the hall got so toxic. Our RA was not there that day. He went on some like school conference trip, and we did not have an RA. Things got so toxic, like machetes were almost drawn, like on fans.
God,
That's what I'm
machetes.
saying.
People have machetes.
It was like a like you know how college dorms are. They have like weird ass like decorations and decor. Cubs. That's what I'm saying. It's just like those
A
4
machete
franchises.
though?
Yeah, this guy had this machete over his bed frame.
Lord, I don't know what you guys are doing in Ohio, but okay.
It's just like, but
I
back to the point. And
I don't think the
I have
Cubs are
another.
a top 5 organization of all time.
Just
They've
they
been around
have
for a
like,
while.
yeah, they've been around, but they just like fanfare. They're like it's like, in hockey you have the original 6,
Yeah.
in the Premier League you have the big 6, and in baseball your teams are the Braves, the Cardinals, the Yankees, the Cubs, and then I think it's an argument between the Mets and the Dodgers, and I think the Dodgers actually went out just off the top of my head. The
Yeah, the
Mets are up there.
Mets are too new. They were an expansion franchise in the 60s. I have the Yankees, of course, the Cardinals. I think you throw the Red Sox in that conversation. They've been around for
That's
a long time. San Francisco Giants, formerly the New York Giants, they've been around forever. Formerly the New York Gothams, they were founded in 1883, and then the Dodgers. They've been around since 1883 too.
And here's going to be my one team that I'm going to throw in here. Think
Reds.
about one team. Yeah, the Reds. I think the Reds actually have a legitimate, and not be saying like, you're not saying because the markets. Yeah, the markets really do play an impact, but the Cincinnati Reds, man, like they're the first. They were the first all professional team in baseball, and they were founded in 1869.
Yeah,
so I feel like
they've been around forever. They're the oldest team. Oh yeah, the Reds I think are in that conversation too.
But back to let's talk about the CS series.
Yeah,
let's talk about the Yankees one, because I exclusively watched the most. I watched that one exclusively. I've seen every Yankee playoff game this year, front to cover. I have good analysis. I watched a little bit of Dodgers. It's just like, again, Major League Baseball decides to screw us and put games at 5:00. I'm at work. I have to go to the gym. I have to cook. I have other priorities. I have things in my life that I cannot watch a baseball game at 4:00 in the afternoon. I would love to, but like, I don't make $1 million a day. I'm not freaking Jeff Bezos and have Amazon. But going to the series, I did think about, something that combines two things that William hates: the team playing against the Yankees and Ohio State. I think this was like a perfect, like, beautiful marriage in this series. How did you feel watching this whole series?
Yeah, that's a great freaking point. I mean, I saw so many Guardians fans in the crowd wearing Ohio State stuff, and I'm like, it's great to see those guys lose. It really does make me feel good. And, we won 4-1, but that series was an absolute grind. Every game was close, or the games in Cleveland were all intense. Game 3 was crazy with the David Freese walk-off, the Noel game tying home run. And then, the Yankees bounced back, man, and they freaking got it done. Giancarlo Stanton is on another planet, 5 home runs. But people are saying the Yankees have a Mickey Mouse road to the World Series. I mean, Cleveland was really tough. Cleveland was tough. They were the second best team in the American League this year by record. They were better than the Astros. I think Cleveland was a tougher matchup than Houston would have been this year. I mean, Houston lost to Detroit. So, and Kansas City, with their starting rotation, they gave us a tough series too. So I don't think it was a Mickey Mouse run. It was challenging. It wasn't as hard as the Dodgers. Getting over the Padres was tough. They were down 2-1 in that series. Getting over the, Miracle Mets, you could say, was tough too. But Cleveland, man, those series were a grind. And the Juan Soto home run, man, oh, what a weight off everyone's shoulders. Just the best feeling in the world. That's why you traded that guy, and that's why he's going to get $700 million, man.
And that's, I sent you that tweet, right? The Brent Rooker tweet. Like, that's next level sicko hitting. Like when he fouled off that backdoor slider or backdoor, like, it was a slider or a breaking ball, something like backdoor. Like, he's like, everything, he was in protect mode. Like, he was waiting for that fastball to come. And when he got it, he knew that he was just going to, like, absolutely, like, nuke it, because some of the swings he was taking wasn't even like, they weren't like full swings. Like that backdoor slider, and I think he hit it with was it a front door changeup that he got hit with? That he just was like purposely fouling it off. Like, I'm not putting this off. It's like, that's just like next level. Like, I've never seen a guy like, I think Juan Soto going to San Diego was bad for him, in the sense that for the baseball fan on the East Coast, we don't get a lot of San Diego games, so we couldn't, like, fully embrace for what he is, man. But that was craziness. Like, I've never seen a hit sequence like that. That hitting sequence is pure baseball pornography. Like, it is simply beautiful. Like, I was like, this dude literally just. I think that series was amazing. Even like the cameraman in game. What night was it? Game 4, where that Noel. I was like, oh no, and he just looped it.
Yeah,
there was like
what?
Yeah, there was like also like bad ball getting played too. Like, so many like little errors cost the series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Yankees, like, for as much as they won 4-1, the series could have easily gone 6 or 7. It's just that the Guardians made the same mistakes the next half inning or anything. I think my takeaways are like this: Giancarlo Stanton is on another planet right now, and everybody deserves that man an apology for it like
Mhm.
that. Him and Carlos Rodon. Carlos Rodon has had an amazing playoffs this year. Like
Yeah.
he's done really well to be the number 2 guy. Also, Aaron Boone has struck gold with the bullpen. Everybody but Clay Holmes. If you have Cousins, Mark Leiter Jr., who's the other guy? Luke Weaver. Bro, that's crazy. Yankees again, pitching lab. Luke Weaver. Luke
I
Weaver
know.
was an abysmal pitcher for the Reds. We were clowning him over text. Me and my buddy from Cincy, we would clown him like it's a Luke Weaver start. So we're already down 5 tonight.
Yeah.
And then finally, the one thing I think we have to look forward to is hopefully Aaron Judge continues the little bit of momentum that he's built a little bit. Hasn't been great, but like, man, what are we gonna do with Jazz? Like, that's also a big
Oof.
question to look at in the World Series. Those are like my takeaways. Like the bullpen, the performances from Stanton and Rodon, and like, what are we gonna do with Jazz?
Yeah, Jazz has been disappointing. He had that one home run against Kansas City, but really hasn't done anything else. He got a hit in game 5 in the clincher, but it's been tough. He's been moving up and down the lineup. You know, Boone likes, you know, breaking up the righties, so he likes throwing a lefty in that cleanup spot. But I just think it's better with Judge 4 or Judge 3, Stanton 4, moved Wells down. But yeah, I don't know what you do with Jazz. Do you give a start to Oswaldo at third? I mean, maybe.
Well, my biggest thing is here's like let's look at the rosters. The Yankees bench right now is John Birdie, because Rizzo is presumably your starting baseman throughout the whole series. Okay.
Hopefully.
And so let's just look at construction wise. Your outfielders, you got 5 outfielders. You got Judge, Soto, Stanton. Well, Stanton is asterisk,
DH.
DH, Verdugo, Grisham, and Dominguez.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is if you bench Jazz, and it happened a lot in the series with Cleveland, where Rizzo like got timely hits, or it was somebody who else? I can't remember who, but
Volpe was really
if you
good.
Volpe, but if you play Oswaldo, like you're gonna have John Birdie at first. Do you really want to have John Birdie at first in a pinch? I mean, it's been done before, but I don't think that's something you want to like necessarily do.
In the World
Because the thing
Series,
about
yeah.
the Jazz is in so many boneheaded plays. Like for every good thing he does this postseason, he's been doing like 2 steps back. Like he hits the home run against who was it? It was against Kansas City,
Yeah.
and it was like the game they lost that game, and then he goes in on and puts bulletin board material for the Royals. Thankfully, it was the Royals that the Royals don't have anybody that can really like hurt you other than like Bobby Witt Jr. No disrespect, but disrespect has been said. But like so many things that it's just like, man. And then game 4, when Cole almost blew that game in game 4, which I think that's the only thing I have against Boone. That game wasn't game 4, that game 2, Boone almost wrecked it, where he
Mm.
kept Cole for the 5th. Jazz gets the double, and then Jazz gets caught stealing in a pickle, like in a pickoff attempt.
Mhm.
Like you got to think better. You can't make those mistakes with teams like the Dodgers because they will make you pay.
Yeah, that's a good point. He that base running mistake, it was a head scratcher. And the Yankees, John Sterling said it, the radio announcer, they run the base like drunks. That's one of their weaknesses. They're not very good on the base pass.
Well, what do you think? What do you think takeaways from that Cleveland series? Well, what do you think about that bullpen? What do you think about the lineup in general? How do you think they're
Yeah,
going to line up in the World Series?
Judge looked better. I think he had better at bats in the last couple games. Obviously, that huge home run off Clase. Stan's been great. Soto's great. I expect those guys to like Soto. The fact that his eye is so good that like I'm not worried about giving him a ton of money, 700 mil, whatever, 600 mil, because that eye will be with him his entire career. And even if as he ages and his body, he gets older, that eye will still be there and the talent will still be there. So like he's a big time player. He'll be good in the World Series, I think, no matter what. He always has quality at bats. There's no at bat that he has that is not a quality at bat. Stanton, I think he's going to do well in LA. It's from nearby. Judge, I think he's playing better baseball. Also plays better in the warm weather, which is I think will be warm in LA. I worry about like Volpe. He's been great. Can he keep it going? Can Wells figure it out? Like, can we get something from the catcher position? Does Trevino get a start?
Would you start Trevino? Because I think Wells he was just abysmal. He could just not lay off of that high fastball. Like I just
He
felt
can't,
like
man.
he would just get that high fastball, and it's just like I knew it was coming. Like 96, like he was doing okay with 96, but those high velos, like 100 pitches. The thing is like I just don't really have high velo arms. Like thinking like deep down, like Flaherty isn't that much a high velo guy. Evan Phillips isn't there. The only high velo guy is what's his name? White Sox, Kopech.
Yeah, Kopech, yeah.
That's the only big high velo guy that they really do have. They don't have like a flamethrower.
I think Wells gets most of the starts. Maybe Trevino. The Dodgers don't really have any lefties, so that's why maybe Trevino doesn't get a start because Wells is a lefty hitter. I also, hope we get some production from Verdugo against his former team. I think that's something to watch. He's going back to LA. Maybe he's comfortable playing there. He had that huge hit infield squibber in one of the games to tie it up.
That
game 4.
Rocchio misfielded. I will say this: he did decent defensively. He did do some really fundamental defensive plays that like somebody made a good point and said that what the game was it? It was that squibber play that on TBS they were saying like if the Yankees don't pinch run Verdugo for Jason Dominguez, I think that tells you all you need to know why Jason Dominguez is on the roster. Like there's no reason for him. Like I totally feel like he's like an emergency guy. I think Trent Grisham is the de facto guy ahead of him in like defensive situations and anything. But he had a great, great not great, but like smart defensive plays, like fundamental.
Agree.
Catches.
Grisham is definitely ahead of him of Dominguez in the pecking order. I think the only time Dominguez came in that series was to pinch run in the top of the 10th in Game 5 when Soto hit the home run. He was on second base for that, but otherwise, I don't think we see him maybe in a pinch hitting situation, and then he gets substituted for Grisham. So the lineup I feel good about right now. The pen, we'll see how it holds up. Who?
Jazz or Oswaldo or Birdie?
I probably would start Jazz. He had a home run against Yamamoto, first pitch of the game when he was on the Marlins back in, I think it was June. So, Yamamoto will probably be the game 2 starter. They just announced Flaherty as the game 1 starter. I guess we're officially into the preview now portion of it, by the way, for those listening.
We haven't gone to the Dodgers side, but like we're just wrapping up the Yankees and then we'll go into the Dodgers. Bullpen wise, what do you think about the bullpen?
I still think we need to get length from the starters. I think the Yankees have a significant advantage in the starting rotation in this series.
Agree.
We can get to the Dodgers later, but Cole hasn't even really been his best. He's got a 3.31 ERA and 3 starts. Rodon's been pretty solid to great. Has a really good start against Kansas City, or not a really good start, but a good start against KC, and it was good against Cleveland. We need to get length from those guys, and then who's your third? Or Schmidt is be the third. Who's the fourth? Is it going to be Heel again? Probably. I thought he was good in 4 innings.
Clark Schmidt defensively.
He's going to be probably a Game 3 starter in the World Series. He's officially made it. I don't think we see Stroman. Cortez is aiming for a comeback. He might be able to pitch an inning out of the pen. I like the pen. How long can it hold up? They were great against Kansas City. Cleveland was able to get to them as they saw them more often. And that's kind of a theme in 7-game series is you get used to these guys. You see them more often. You're able to hit them a little bit better, and they get tired too. Is Tommy Kahnle going to throw anything besides a changeup? I mean, he threw 18 straight changeups or maybe even more, something crazy. Can Weaver keep it going? Do we get the lefty step up, Tim Hill, and Miza? Yeah, the bullpen's been great. I worry how it holds up against what is this terrifying lineup.
I don't think it's that terrifying, but here's my question. Say you got Cole, Rodon, Schmidt, and Heel as penciled in as your 4 starters, correct? I don't think you're the Yankee guy. I'm asking you this. Like you've seen how they perform. Those are your 4. You're
I
not
think it's
changing
locked
that,
in.
right?
No, I don't think they
Weaver,
change anything.
Weaver, you're taking, right?
As the closer, yeah, of course.
Canley, you're taking him.
Yeah, setup guy for sure.
Mark Leiter Jr., you taking Mark Leiter?
He'll be on the roster. He was actually pretty good against Cleveland. Came in
I thought
some
he was
clutch outs.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, because
he
Ian
was added because
Hamilton.
we lost Ian Hamilton. He got hurt. I think it was a calf. So Leiter replaced him on the roster. I thought he did a good job. Yeah.
So you're taking Leiter, yes or no?
Yeah, he'll be on the team for sure.
I think Tim Hill and Jake Cousins also are there after their performances at the end of the series. They're there. So then
Yes.
you're deciding between Tim Mesa, Clay Holmes, and Marcus Stroman.
I think Mesa and Holmes will be on again. And I really think we need a long relief guy. We don't have that.
Stroman,
If Stroman hasn't pitched since the regular season, which makes me a little bit nervous. There might be some rust, but I think
it's
there might be a
Stroman or
point.
Cortez.
Cortez isn't going to be able to go long relief. I don't think he's coming off an injury. Stroman will be more able to do it. I just think there's a very good chance that the Dodgers get at one of these starters. Just with that lineup, it's very possible. You don't want to run out the same. You don't want to run out the same relievers game after game after game and just wear them down. 7-game series, like I just said, it's easy for those guys to get worn out, and the more you see him, the more likely you are to hit them. So we need a guy like that in long relief, and I think you look at Stroman, or maybe a Luis Heel, but I expect him to start. So if we can get just one starter to go 6+ would be just outstanding, which is crazy to say. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about the state of baseball right now.
I think that's Rodon for you. Man, Cole looks so suspect that last start. Like
He did.
I thought Boone should have pulled him, man. But my question is, do you drop Clay Holmes to bring what's his name? Do you bring Nestor Cortez?
I think
Because Clay Holmes was bad. Clay Holmes was really bad those 2 nights they started. Like Clay Holmes and like Emmanuel Clase were like the Spider-Man meme, like looking at each other like, hey, anything I can do better. Hold my beer.
Yeah, Holmes gave up the walk-off to Freeze in game 3. I don't think he's going to get dropped from the entire roster. I think if they decide to drop somebody, it'll be Cousins or one of the lefties.
How can you drop Cousins? He was insane that last start. I think that last start, those Hill, Cousins, they looked incredible. Hill's been great. And I think you need to take Tim Hill because he has the sidearm release, the submarine release, which forces hitter to adjust. I know San Francisco always has like 2 or 3 guys. They always have a dude with different arm slot movement, like coming out of the pen.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like I ask you, it's like, do you bring? Like, do you take Clay Holmes?
I think they do. Yeah, I think when the sinker is on for Holmes, he's one of the better relievers in the sport. When it's not, it's very scary from a Yankees perspective in a bad way. I think he makes the roster, and we'll use him in high leverage situations probably.
He's the newer Aroldis Chapman. Clay Holmes is the newer.
Definitely.
Can you imagine that you guys are up like game 6, 3-2 series, up like 2 runs, and like Clay Holmes comes in like 2 outs or like man on first or in second, and he comes in and just lollipops one, and somebody like Max Muncy or Teoscar Hernandez or Gavin Lux just takes him deep.
I can't. I just don't lose in heartbreaking fashion. The Yankees, like, I'd rather get swept than lose a crushing game in game 6 or game 7. Like, I'd just lose in 5. If we're gonna lose, just get outplayed, not absolute heartbreak. Like, the Astros series that we've had with them, 2017, 2019.
Don't get out too bad.
Exactly.
So now let's flip the coin. We've talked to Yankees for the past like 20 minutes. Do you watch a lot? I watched brief amounts. Like, I just felt every game of the Mets-Dodgers series was lopsided.
Oh yeah, they were all blowouts.
It was like the Mets blowing them out or the Dodgers blowing them out.
Yeah. No, I watched. I it wasn't, a lot of these games, like you said, were blowouts, so I kind of tuned out late. I watched game 6 in its entirety because the Mets kind of looked like they were making a run there to tie it up, but then the Dodgers scored a bunch of runs in the bottom of the 8th, and that was it. I mean, their lineup is scary. Tommy Edmonds hitting the way he is. He's hitting 341 in the playoffs. Also has 3 stolen bases. Kike Hernandez is playing well, hitting over 300, 2 home runs. Max Muncy has 3 home runs in the playoffs. Teoscar has 2 home runs in the playoffs. Will Smith also has 2 home runs in the playoffs. We talk crap about the bottom half of the lineup all season, but they've kind of low key been stepping up in the playoffs.
You know what they are? They're
What's that?
like the Golden State Warriors teams when they played the Cavs, where like they were just like limp into the playoffs, and like those dudes are like, oh, Andre Iguodala is hurt, Sean Livingston's hurt, and like playoffs hits, and like Kike Hernandez becomes like super demon, and like Tommy Edman been injured the whole freaking year, and like he finally gets it together right at the end of the season. And I do feel that's the one area where I do feel like the Dodgers do have the Yankees beat by a far margin into the lineup, because I just feel like from top to bottom, they're deeper. Like, would you rather have a Tommy Edman or Jazz Chisholm?
Tommy Edman right now for sure.
Max Muncy or, for example, Anthony Rizzo? That's a push, but
it's a push, but Muncy has a lot more power. Rizzo is kind of just gritty at bats, bloop one over the left field gap, things like that. He's not going to, hit a 400-foot blast anymore.
Rizzo's like at bats, like his hits just remind me of like hitting a ball out of the bunker in the golf course. That's all of the balls go, like hitting a ball out of the bunker, like boom, or out of the rough, just like boom, just blooping it out back onto the fairway. Onto the green.
Yeah, I can see that. I see that. That's a good analogy.
But yeah, it's just like they just got these playoff performers. Like Kike Hernandez could be like terrible the whole year, but like this dude just decides to show up. Like they just show up.
They have 20 home runs in 11 postseason games. The Yankees only have the Yankees have 13 and 9, which is really good. The Dodgers have 20 and 11. I mean, we know Ohtani, Betts, Freeman's been banged up, so we'll see what he looks like. They've obviously had a lot. Both these teams will have a long break. He should be good to go.
No, he's good to go. I saw the report today. He's good to go.
So, yeah, the lineup is terrifying. I think another thing to look is, can the Dodgers run the bases? They lead the postseason with 11 stolen bases, only been caught twice. The Yankees obviously struggle when teams try to run on them. Austin Wells isn't a great at throwing out runners. Now, I will say a lot of the Yankees pitchers are slow to the plate, and that's part of the reason that teams are able to steal on them so easily. But the Dodgers are going to be looking to run Ohtani, Betts, Kike, not Will Smith, Tommy Edman, like guys like that. They're going to be running if they get on. So, and I would, if I'm Cleveland, if I was a Cleveland fan, I would have been hoping that they took advantage of that a little bit more than they did. Same with Kansas City. They didn't really push the Yankees steal bases. Kansas City maybe did. I think they got thrown out like 3 times. So yeah, lineup wise, I give the edge slightly to the Dodgers because of the depth, and like some of those pieces around the stars are veterans, whereas the Yankees, it's more young guys where you just don't know what you're going to get, like Volpe, Jazz, Wells, that don't have that experience. A lot of these guys have postseason experience at this point.
Let me just ask you this question also. What is different from the Yankees to the Mets and the Padres, like lineup wise?
Well,
like if you have to pick one of those lineups, which one are you taking?
Right now, the Yankees still.
Yeah, but my whole point is, it's like the Dodgers have faced inferior lineups to the Yankees. Like the Padres lineup is not like scary. Like it is scary, but like I'm not like genuinely like fully scared of it.
They have the star power, but they're not that deep. Yeah.
And then the Mets, I mean, Vientos went super Jesus. Lindor is doing an MVP run. Pete Alonso is Pete Alonso. He's just hitting balls, either flyouts or home runs, no in between. So, and like they got pushed.
That's
so
true.
My whole point is like, for as much of like concern we have with this Dodgers lineup, they have struggled with inferior competition compared to the Yankees. Like compared to the Yankees. Like the Yankees have taken care of business very well.
Yeah.
Like, it hasn't been pretty, but they've kept the games like, if I were to think in an analogy, like they have stunk the place up. Like they have stunk the games out. Like they've been in like 2-3, like 3-1 games, 3-5 games, like tight games, and they've stunk the games out, and they've like boom, the bad. The only game that they weren't able to like close was that game 4, and then game 5, no, game 3, and then game 5 was the one game that was like close, and it was like bloopy hits and like errors on Cleveland. So, and the Dodgers have just been like complete blowouts. They either get blown out or they win by a lot.
And that's the question. I think that is probably the key storyline of this entire series is, can the Dodgers pitching hold up?
I
What do
don't
we
like
get
their
from-
rotation at all.
Right. It's it's Flaherty game 1, Yamamoto game 2, probably, and then probably Walker Buehler game 3, and then a bullpen game. They do a lot of bullpen games. Yamamoto, the Dodgers have won all 3 of his starts. He's been their best pitcher in the playoffs. Then Flaherty, I mean, he got shelled, absolutely shelled. 8 earned runs in game 5 against the Mets. He was great in game 1 of that series, though. Pitch against the Padres, gave up 4 earned in a loss. Walker Buehler got shelled against the Padres. Dodgers somehow won that game. Or sorry, they lost 6-5, I think. And then he had a good start, but only 4 innings pitch against the Mets. Like, they're going to be relying on their bullpen a lot. And as the Yankees, again, see these guys over and over and over again, do they adjust? Are they able to get to the bin? Because, most importantly, the Yankees need to get these starters out of the game 3-4 innings in, to where the bullpen is pitching, 5-6 innings every game. If that happens, I think the Yankees win the series. And I don't really think there's, and I might regret these words, is there anybody in the Dodgers pen that scares you the way the Cleveland pen scared you? Class A, Cade Smith and those guys?
Look. Can we just pump the Class A breaks? Like, and we'll do a little like wrap up of the Cleveland and New Mets series, the like teams. Like Class A has been on the decline for the past 2 years, and people are acting like
Wait. On the decline. I mean, he was incredible this year. It's probably his best season.
Yeah, but velo has been down. The velo has been down. I had him in fantasy 2 years ago, and I was so frustrated because Josh Doring has made me just draft closers. I draft closers just so Josh Doring cannot have closers. Our buddy Josh cannot have whatever. And like his velo is, and I mean, the cutter is like, why is he throwing a cutter outside? Like, if you miss the location and it leaks inside, that's a freaking high middle end, almost with a little cut inside. Like, just throw it inside, jam them up. And so the only dude that I'm scared would be Kopech. The 2 things I would be Kopech because he has high velo, and just thinking about the guys the Dodgers has, they don't really have like a breaking ball guy. They don't have like a guy with a nice breaking ball or like sweeper slider, because Judge, Stanton, they love swinging at those breaking balls and those sweepers that come and shift over. They just like, I feel the wind waft come into my living room.
Yeah.
I don't know who. I'm trying to think. Who do the Dodgers have in the bullpen with because I know Evan Phillips. He's like a super breaking ball type of guy.
Daniel
Who else?
Hudson.
Daniel Hudson's been like their de facto closer before everything.
Ryan Brazier, Brent Honeywell, and Logan Knack. Like, my thing is, if the Yankees were able to get at Cleveland's bullpen, I don't want to jinx it, but they should be able to get at the Dodgers bullpen. The Dodgers, their pitching is just, it's weak. This whole series doesn't really have the elite pitching matchups that we're used to seeing in the playoffs, which is fine because we got the star power on the offensive side of the ball. But I don't know. I think the Yankees might have the opportunity to get at some of these pitchers. I feel the same about the Dodgers. It could just be a really high scoring series. A lot of 6-4s, maybe even like 8-6s. I don't think pitching is going to succeed a lot in this series, but I do give the edge to the Yankees in rotation and pen.
It's gonna be what? It's gonna be what? It's gonna be the classic. What wins? Good hitting or good pitching? Which
Mhm.
it's gonna be that. I don't know. I just look. I feel like if we're looking at the series, the Dodgers have more to lose. If the Dodgers don't win, their season is essentially a failure because you spent $1 billion and like talk about organizational malpractice. You spend $1 billion in your freaking what you call it. You're doing bullpen games in the World Series in the playoffs. Like, come on, man. Like the Yankees
Well,
didn't do that.
injuries. Think of
Yeah, but come
Otani.
on.
I mean, their pitching rotation in the playoffs, if they were fully healthy, would be Otani, Glasnow, and Yamamoto, which is pretty freaking good. It's not their fault
I'm
that those
still
guys are hurt. I mean, they did trade for Glasnow, who is historically injured.
and then they expected Clayton Kershaw and they knew Otani was hurt. So you're telling me you're not gonna go get another like long relief guy like I don't know, what's his name? Guys like Michael Lorenzen, who does both.
Yeah. I mean, they also have Gonsolin, he got hurt last year before the season ended.
Dustin May
Dustin
got hurt.
May, he's been out
You're
forever.
telling me you can't call Jordan Montgomery, you give him 20 mil, 25 mil, whatever you wanted.
And he
I'm just
wasn't really
saying
happy
it's
with his free agency.
yeah, I'm just saying it's just that's just my whole deal. Now, the Yankees do have a lot of Los Angeles kids, which I do feel that also helps out. Judge is from Southern California, right? No, Judge is NorCal.
No, he's a NorCal guy, but still California.
He's a California guy. Giancarlo's going home. Garrett Cole's going home. Garrett Cole pitched at UCLA.
Mhm.
Like a lot
Mhm.
of that, Verdugo's going back home. He used to play there in LA. That I do feel like the series kind of does help New York in a way where there's a lot of guys that are from California that I do feel like the weather, like my buddy that I text who's a big Guards fan, did say, man, Jazz just looks miserable, like in the cold
Mm.
weather. This
Mhm.
man looks like, he has that he has the shiesty mask almost that the football
Yeah, he
players wear when
does,
they're
man. He does.
he just
Most
looks miserable.
most of the guys are going for the old mock turtlenecks. They actually brought those out from the old Yankees runs. It's the same ones that they've been wearing as the OGs. And yeah,
Yeah.
Jazz, he does look cold. I mean, I was thinking about it. He really probably hasn't played much cold baseball. Obviously, he's grew up in the Bahamas and then played for the Marlins forever. Those cold games on the East Coast or whatever early in the season. Played in Philly in the playoffs for a couple of games last year, but this is really his first extended period of I think of playing in chillier weather. And yeah, I mean he hasn't been great, but going back to LA, the weather projects to be pretty nice. Could be a good boost for him maybe.
I mean, what is the I'm trying to look at LA's lineup. What's the LA like? Who's the guy you got to get at on LA? What's like the order that we got to you got to get at? Because I think the part of the order that you got to target with the Yankees is like obviously you want to just win the 1 through 4 matchup with Judge, Stanton, and Soto. But I think the most important thing, and a lot of the time, and Gleiber, we haven't talked about Gleiber. Talk
Yeah.
about a guy who's trying to get paid. I think
Yeah,
the most important.
he's earning a check. He's earning a check. He's been freaking great.
He's gonna get that Daniel Jones contract.
Oh,
You know, he's gonna have that one run and then be totally garbage can. I can totally see that. But my whole point
he's
is,
not quite on this level, but 2015 Daniel Murphy in the playoffs, that guy
yeah,
was unbelievable.
I'm sort of think like the way like obviously you have to like you're not gonna completely shut down the 1 through 4. I think
Yeah.
what you have to focus on is you have to focus on the 7, 8, 9. You can't let those 7, 8, 9 guys get hot because if those guys start getting it going, like it's going to be a long day for the bullpen, and it's just going to run up the score like really quickly. If Austin Wells can hit, Jazz starts hitting, and if Verdugo can just get his little customary single out to left, like
If,
you know,
yeah, and Cleveland let those guys beat him. Volpe had a great series, and Rizzo had some timely hits. Verdugo had one hit, couple timely hits. Yeah, that you definitely target that part of the lineup. I think if you're the Dodge, you asked me who do I target. I mean, I think the guy you kind of have to get out every time is like Gavin Lux, and hopefully shut down Will Smith. Hopefully, Tommy Edman
Yes.
doesn't keep playing like on another planet. If that happens, that's trouble. Same with Kike.
I think Kike, you just gotta, Kike's gonna Kike. I think you just have to focus on those Andy Pages, Chris Taylor, Gavin Lux. Maybe Will Smith hasn't had a hot series. Like, yeah, he's had the homers, but he hasn't been great. And then maybe if you got to get one, of Muncy or Will Smith. Those are the two guys. Like one of those two guys, you can't let run wild.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to get those outfielders out. That's just my personal thought. Because like we said, in the Cleveland series, if Verdugo was on, Gleiber's having at bats that we haven't seen this year. And Gleiber's like doing a good job like starting it out. So
he's very aggressive. He swings early on counts, takes advantage of fastballs early in the count, which I like.
That's
how I played.
He likes not changeups. He's like the best hitter right now in like I think it's sinkers. I think he's eating the sinker alive right now. I can't remember if it's the sinker or the changeup, but he's one pitch that is just like just don't pitch the sinker for him because he's just eating them alive. And it's good.
Right now.
You want somebody to apply pressure on that guy. You don't want to let those starters get into a mold. I think Yamamoto is the one pitcher you got to get at, and I think the one pitcher that if you're the Dodgers, you got to get at Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole is that guy that if you can get at, because I think if you get at him, I think Clark Schmidt, as much as I love him, he's okay, but Clark Schmidt will give you a Clark Schmidt start will be 5 innings and gives up 2 to 3 runs. Mm-hmm. That's a Clark Schmidt.
Which you take.
So, what's up?
Which you take. That gives you a chance to win the game.
Yeah. I think
Cole has that blow-up start in him. He hasn't looked like Garrett Cole.
Bro, he almost blew up that game, that last one. I mean, Flaherty blew up, and I think Yamamoto has blow-up ability.
What else?
Well, I mean, that's that. Want to do a quick wrap-up on the Mets and the Guardians looking forward?
I think the Mets are in a really good spot. I mean, they have a super rich owner. They're going to spend a lot of money. We'll see what happens with Pete. They're going to be in the Soto running. They're going to be in that conversation.
I don't think they're going to be in the Soto running. I don't think they will. I think it's going to be Pete and Corbin. I think they're going to go get Corbin. They have David Stearns from the Brewers organization too. They got money to spend. Maybe you spend on Minaya. Minaya earned himself a fat check this postseason. He had some good starts. I feel like if he had a better start in Game 6, I feel like they would have won Game 6.
Yeah.
You do that.
I mean, yeah, he wasn't good in that game.
But I mean, that core is nice. Luis Angel Acuna, Mark Vientos. He's probably solidified him as a third base for the future. He's third base now.
They got a good core. Lindor's now an MVP candidate, and they got a rich owner. So it's kind of just the beginning for the Mets. I feel like they're going to be in these big playoff series, I think, pretty consistently. Guards wise,
why the sigh when you're like, the Mets? Like, what's your opinion? You're like,
I'm just worried about them getting Soto.
I don't think they're going to get Soto. I think Soto knows that he leaves. I don't think he's a guy that would enjoy being a hated guy. I don't think he would enjoy, like, just from his demeanor, and like, I don't think he would enjoy being a villain.
That's fair.
And I just feel like this playoff run is just too much to like pass up. Like, you can't just like leave after that.
I don't know.
I
see that. I just think he's going to go wherever offers him the most money. And if he wins a World Series with the Yankees, that's fine. Like he's a
just feel like how can you break up your girlfriend after you go to a wedding? You go to a vacation wedding. How can you break up with your girlfriend after that? Like how?
Yeah. Maybe the Yankees are going to have to shell out the cash. It's going to be a huge contract. We'll see. And then the Guardians, like, I mean, I don't know. It's good. Like they put together a season where a lot of guys hit well. Their lineup was really good. They didn't really have the starting pitching, so I think that's something they need to address. They had some injuries there, of course. Shane Bieber, McKenzie was hurt all year, pretty much off and on. They got some young talent. Kyle Manzardo, I like him. Quan's really tough to get out. Like I like that core they have. They have like they have Rocchio is good. They have an owner with money, so like there's no reason they shouldn't be a team that spends money, but they just are a team that doesn't spend money. So I don't know. It just kind of feels like if the auxiliary guys have good years, and if J Ram keeps it going, if Quan has another good year, like they'll be in the running for the AL Central. But that division is just so hard to pick every year because none of them spend money, and it's really just who gets hot for that year.
So now my question is, what manager would you rather? Who's your manager? If you had to pick manager of the year for like all the league between those two, who do you give it to? Vote or Joe Espada?
Joe Espada, you mean
Not
Mendoza?
Espada. Espada in Basel. Yeah, Carlos Mendoza. Espada is Astros. Yeah.
Astros, yeah. It's a tough one. I mean, neither of them had expectations really heading into the season. And they both have like 1 star. But the Guardians have like a top bullpen. I'd say the Mets, Carlos Mendoza, and you called it preseason. I would probably give it to him.
Hey, if Yamamoto has that blow up start in the World Series, I will be so loud on this podcast. I had the Tigers. I had the freaking, Carlos Mendoza. And if Yamamoto pulls up, oh man, I'm doing a victory lap. I'm taking a victory lap. But
So
should
we make predictions?
Just like to close out that, I think the Mets are in a great position. I think this is just the beginning. I mean, they're going to start clearing those bad contracts too. And I do feel like they're going to be a big player. And I do feel like they exceeded all expectations. And I do feel like they are a great destination in free agency. You're playing in New York. You're going to get paid. And if you're able to put the Mets are kind of the equivalent. They're a better version of the Jets. If you're able to take the Mets and win a World Series with the Mets, you will always, always, always be renowned in that franchise. Look at Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry.
Yeah.
Great players, but whatever. And with Cleveland, I mean, they got a core. I really like Quan. Quan had a really nice bounce back here in J Ram. So
yeah, I'm a big Quan guy. It's really hard to get out.
Really, really big Quan guy. I mean, the Naylor brothers. I mean, they kind of rub me the wrong way. They're good hitters. They're good players, but that everybody has that one player that they hate on the other team. Like the Yankees is like Jazz. People don't like Jazz because like he kind of yaps, and the Nailers kind of do the same thing. So
yeah,
I'll let you go first. I mean, before you get into predictions, like finally, what does this mean to you as a Yankee fan? Like this has been 15 years. I bet you Saturday night you didn't fall asleep. Like I can only imagine what was going through like the emotions and everything going around in your apartment on Saturday night. Like how was it?
And people don't want to, no one's feeling bad for Yankee fans making it 15 years, but without a World Series. But it was a long drought, and I'm a younger Yankee fan, so I don't remember the 90s and 2000s runs. I remember 09, of course. But a lot of years of pain, and it's not like we sucked. I mean, there were a few years there in the mid 2010s where we sucked, but a lot of playoff heartbreak. 2017, 2019, 2018 losing to the Red Sox, 2021 losing to the Red Sox, 22 losing to the Astros, like just constantly losing to the Astros, missing the playoffs last year. Like it was a lot of frustration, getting so close, feeling like you have a chance to win every year and just not doing it. It sucks. It's different than having a team that you just know you're just not going to win the World Series. So, you're so used to blowing these close games, and then Soto hits the home run. Yeah, it was great. Emotional, hard to fall asleep that night for sure. So it's a lot, and it means a lot for both of these teams. A lot of fun Yankee TikToks and tweets I've been seeing of fans and just their feelings about this series. So it means, yeah, it's a huge series. Two amazing franchises. I'm excited, super nervous. I hate that we have to wait till Friday. I've been antsy all week.
All the bad free agent signings.
Jacoby Ellsbury, I think of legends. Didi. I love Didi. Guy, this is, Chase Headley, Ronald Torreyes, watching those guys play. And they almost got us to a World Series. Todd Frazier, Masahiro Tanaka, Yankee legend. Yeah, a lot of guys that came before that didn't get to make it to this stage.
they died for this. Like not died, but like in the sense like they went down. Like with
Greg
the
Bird.
great bro. I read a tweet and it was just like Greg Bird, Gary Sanchez. Who's a part of the Baby Bombers crew? Like that whole Baby Bombers crew. Because like the
Yeah.
only like remaining of the Baby Bombers crew is Judge and Gleiber.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, those were the main ones. Gary Sanchez, I mean, when he came up in August of 2016, he was just hitting home run after home run after home run. Brett Gardner, that's the main one, miss him. Dylan
Then you have
Betances,
Dylan Betances was
he-
insane. Jabba Chamberlain died for this.
Mike
Like
Talkman, Luke Voigt, Mike Ford, Davy Garcia,
yeah,
Jervis
Debbie Garcia.
Celerte, Matt Carpenter, Giovanni Gallegos was really good for us.
Kyle,
Random one that comes to mind, Slade Heathcott. I don't know why I remember that guy.
Kyle Higashioka,
Kyle
Michael
Higashioka.
King, Michael
Who?
King, oh, Michael King.
Yeah, Michael King.
Like,
Yeah.
and I know we're
Starling
focusing on.
Castro,
Oh man, Sterling Castro, podcast legend,
Miguel Cairo,
Aroldis Chapman.
Chapman.
Like,
Yeah.
this is like the best thing. The way I think you're feeling is like the feeling. I mean, we both haven't. I mean, I haven't felt this, but it's like you go through so many bad girlfriends, and they're constantly letting you down, letting you down, letting you down. You're like, okay, here we go again. This is going on again, and then you finally meet one, and you're like, oh my god, like this is like so great. And then this is that you're at that point, That's what I kind of feel like this is the feeling. And I know we talk a lot about the Yankees because you are a Yankees fan. You've been a fan since I've known you. It's a historic time. And for the Dodgers, I mean, it's much different because they are expected to get here. They are expected to get here with all the money that they spent. It's kind of like they only have one World Series in the past decade. Like they should have more for like those great teams that they had. So it's just kind of like you either show up or you don't. And there's not like that nostalgia feeling for the Yankees because we haven't been in a Yankee era where they've just consistently been in it. And I think baseball is in a better place with the Yankees and Red Sox being good. And I do feel like the Dodgers being like the Dodgers, like, yes, they're a top 5 franchise, but like it's like the whole deal, like, oh, it's a West Coast team. It's like it's great for the game, but I don't feel like it's like, they're not like the Roman Empire. The Yankees are like the Roman Empire, like the Empire. Like if you go on Twitter, you've seen the memes of like what the Yankees are looked at. I won't say it because they're not PG-13. They're not podcast. Just look at history and think of wars. So,
what's your prediction?
I got Yankees in 6.
Okay.
I don't feel that the Dodger pitching can hold up. I just don't. I'm just not a fan of Yamamoto. I mean, Flaherty has his blow up in him as he's been pitching well. The bullpen's kind of mishmash. And as crazy as I am, I feel more confident in a Luke Weaver, Tim Hill. Like Tim Hill and Jake Cousins were pitching for the Chicago White Sox at one point in the past year. Like I feel more confident in a bullpen led by those guys than what the Dodgers are putting out right now.
I'm going Yankees in 7. I think it's going to be really closely contested. Same thing. I think the Dodgers, the pitching wears down in Game 7, and the Yankees win that one by 4 runs or something. And it's Cole on the mound in Game 7, maybe. What?
Or Schmidt. If Clark Schmidt pitches a Game 7, if Schmidt pitches a Game 7, it gets the win. Oh my God, I'm so talked. If it is just Schmidt, Yamamoto, and Yamamoto blows up, and Schmidt pitches a gem, I don't think you can do a podcast. I don't think we'll be able to do a podcast that day. I think the things that we will say that day will be cancelable. Like you with the Yankees winning, you're going to be unbearable for like 24 hours because you'll be unbearable. Then you'll come back to earth. And I think I will be unbearable with the Yamamoto blow up and a Clark Schmidt like masterclass. Like I think I will be like, I I just think like Otani's gonna get his, but like at the same time, Mookie and Freddie got to show up. All them guys got to show up,
Yeah.
and I kind of feel
It's gonna be a great series. I mean, I can't wait for it to start.
the Yankees are a more together team. I feel like the Yankees have been through so much together. Like as a group, as a core, that core Yankee group, they went through the playoffs last year. Judge has been there all those years. Soto is kind of like the new guy. I kind of feel like there's more of a bond. There's more of like power of friendship, and I think the power of friendship wins out in this series.
Okay, you're taking Yankees in 6. I'm taking Yankees in 7.
Because the Dodgers are all mercenaries. They're like 1 year, $23 million contracts with like deferred payments. Like they went on layaway. They went to the store and put everything on a firm. Like they put a loan and financed it.
All right, you got anything else? We did over an hour on this series, so that's when it's going to be a fun one, a historic one.
I think we're unbearable today. I think we're sipping so much Yankee copium that I hope that the next time we come on, we're like, wow, we should have seen this coming. I think we're
Dodgers win both first 2 games by a lot. Yeah.
I mean, it's baseball. Weird things have happened. So
yeah,
it's on Fox 808. All start times are on Fox at 808. Games 1 and 2 are in LA. Yankee Stadium will be hosting their second World Series this weekend. It goes in. That's Sunday, Monday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So hey, tap in, man. I'm calling off work on Tuesday night. I have to work Tuesday night, man. Need to see 8:08 start time. I need to be out by 7:30. So,
all right, man. This was a lot of fun.
Anything planned for CFB pods? What do you think?
Yeah, we just did our week 9 preview today, and then we'll be dropping that on Wednesday evening, and then Sunday we'll be doing our recap of week 9.
Hey, if Miami wins and Colorado wins, and we see a Yamamoto blow up, Clark Schmidt masterclass, that will be unbearable. How about Colorado? How about those Buffs?
They're playing good. Playing good.
They play Saturday night against Cincinnati at 10:15 on ESPN. We love ourselves some Big 12 after dark out Folsom Field.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun, Luis, as always. Can't wait for this historic World Series. Thanks for joining me. I think we'll be back probably Sunday to recap games 1 and 2. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the first couple games of this series. I know we will. And until then, catch you next time. Peace out.
Word.